Here's a brief help video on the Brooks Books assignment activity. And I have open here a copy of Microsoft Word. I'm going to just open a blank document as we would to create our answers for the assignment. And this is a conceptual assignment, so we're not going to be working with a database. We don't even have to be working with a spreadsheet, although if you like to use a spreadsheet to help format your tables that you then copy and paste into Microsoft Word, that is another way to solve this assignment, and that's fine. I'm going to show you a way to work on this assignment using only Microsoft Word and tables. Let's take a quick look at the sample activity, the sample problem in the assignment. And so if we take a look at the assignment instructions, we get the background story on the Brooks Books business, and we're basically addressing the problem of converting a spreadsheet-based business into a database-based business. And there's a nice example problem here. And here's the data that we're going to be working with, and this is extracted from the spreadsheet, and it's very denormalized. We see that higgledy-piggledy in here. We have different data elements all as part of the same line in a spreadsheet. Some things are broken out into separate columns, some things are not, and that's going to cause us a problem. For instance, you have the ISBN number, and then you have the book title, and then you have an author, and you might want to be able to sort or search by just the author. And of course, that's going to be very complicated if we have to parse a lot of text that's all dumped into one database field. So we really want to break those into separate fields. That's the whole concept that we're trying to learn here. Okay, if we look at the sample problem, there's a statement of the problem, and basically summarizes what I just said. You can't sort this the way we'd like to. So as we migrate our data into a database and design that database, what is that going to look like? And there's a sample solution here to guide you. Let's see just mechanically how we can get into that process using Microsoft Word if you're not recalling your Word training, or if you never had a Word class on how to easily work with tables. So basically, I'm going to take that data from that problem, copy it, and paste it in here so that we have the sample data. And this is the data, but not in the format we like. And what we'd like to do is break these elements. And what is an easy way to do that, to break that, or sometimes we say parse that? So I'm just going to get rid of some of the extraneous text here. I'm going to take this whole table. I'm going to copy it. I hit Control-C to copy it. And then I'm going to delete the table. So I no longer need that table. So let's just take that table and delete the whole table. But I've copied the text from it. And if I right-click and say paste, under the paste options, one option is to say keep the text only. Okay, so now I've got the text, and you notice that it does have some separation here where the fields were broken out. And so let's see what it has done in Word. And if we go up and in the Word options, I can tell it to turn on the formatting marks. So if I show the paragraph marks here, I see that these little arrows right there are tabs, and these marks here, that's a paragraph mark. Okay, breaks the entire line, or breaks the paragraph. And what I notice is that where I have intrinsic fields, I have those tabs. And so what I'd like to do is just come in here everywhere there's a space that should break the field. I really don't want the space stuck in somewhere in the data. I'm going to just highlight that, replace it, and if I press the tab key, now I've got a tab separating that. And let's go to the end of the title, highlight the space, excuse me, that is separating the title from the publisher, or not the publisher, the author, and hit tab. And now I have the ISBN, the International Standard Book Number, tab, and then the title, tab, then the author, and then the retail price and a tab was already there, and then I've got the sale price. Now, one of the things that I might want to deal with at some point is this really is not important to preserve the formatting. We don't really save the dollar sign in the database. We can display that by formatting it when needed as currency. So I ought to clean that up at some point, but let's not worry about that right now. We'll talk more about storage efficiencies and that kind of stuff later. Let's go through the rest of these and find the breaks between the ISBN numbers, highlight those spaces and turn them to tabs, and between the author, and come down here and do the same thing with this ISBN number, tab, highlight the space. Oh, excuse me, get rid of that tab. It's after that 0. Tab, Ring World is the name of the book by Larry Niven. And come down here. Here's the ISBN number, tab, and here's the space between the title, Foundation and Empire, and Isaac Asimov, tab. And just repeat that for the remaining fields. And I'll show you why we're replacing this with tabs in just a minute. It'll be very, very clear. And a tab between the title and author, and come on down. Separate the ISBN, separate the author. Again, separate the ISBN from the title, and then the title from the author. And the ISBN, separate from title and the author. A couple more to go. And again. And again. And again. And if you look at the pain that you take for this, it kind of tells you the pain the CPU would have to go through, the extra time and processes, if it had to parse these data, these strings, in one field. So we're adding a lot of efficiency by properly designing our database so that the data is what we call normalized. And we'll learn a lot more about the process of normalization in coming lessons. Okay, so this page break is the end of our data. And tell you what, I don't even want to keep the column headings, the old column headings. I'm just going to get rid of those. And now, if I highlight the formatted data that's now all nicely formatted and separated the fields by the tabs, if I go into Insert in Word and tell it I want to insert a table and I convert text to table, by default, it's kind of intelligent. It'll say, oh, you wanted to do that by tabs. Well, yes, that's right. And I expect there to be 5 columns. Well, yes, that's correct as well. And say, okay. And now I get a table that is nicely separated by ISBN, by title, by author, and by the retail and wholesale price. How close are we to finished? Go back and look at the requirements. And if we look at the sample solution that was provided in the sample problem, we had ISBN, title, but we also had separated the author's first, middle name, if any, price, and cost. So I'm not quite done there. I'm going to come back here, and I just converted that to a table. It really wasn't done yet, so I'm going to Control Z to undo that convert. I'm back to text, okay? And we want to separate the author's first name. I'll highlight that space because I don't want to leave a space in there. And I put a tab. Now it's kind of hard to see that the tab is there because it's teeny tiny right there, but it really is there. And I'll leave the periods with the middle names for now. We might want to clean that up later. But for now, let's just leave the period in and a tab separating the last name. Here it's a little clearer that we have first name, middle initial, and last name. Again, it's hard to see that there's a tab there between the first name and the middle initial, but indeed there is. Trust me, we'll see that. Edgar Rice Burroughs Isaac. Now here's a special case. There's no middle name for Isaac Asimov, which I'm sure he had one. I just don't happen to know what it is. It's not in the data. So I'm going to hit tab twice. Tab, tab. Do you follow why? That's because this place where there's no intervening content between the two tabs, that's an empty column. So we still have to provide room for that empty column. So Isaac, tab, tab, Asimov leaves an empty column where the middle name would be. Okay, so let's do that again for Edgar Rice, tab Burroughs, and for Kevin, what is it? Think, tab Hearn, and Stephen, tab Bruce, Larry, tab Niven, Isaac, tab Asimov, Alfred Bester, Alfred tab Bester. If you've never read Bester, you have to dig for it in the stacks to find one, but some good science fiction from the 1950s. So go look up Alfred Bester after you get your homework done. And Kevin tab Hearn. Okay, that's looking better. So I'm going to again highlight this, insert table, convert text to table. It should be intelligent enough to say by tabs, and we're going to have 7 columns. That sounds a little closer to what we want. And now I'm seeing an ISBN, a title, the author's first name, the author's middle initial or middle name. And here I have a parsing error. You see that? I've made a mistake on this one and shorted it. So I can fix that. I'm going to Control Z and make a note that it was the third record, Ringworld. Back to where it is. Control Z, put it back. And here I have the ISBN, tab, Ringworld. I missed tab, Niven. Okay. Again, let's highlight everything we want to convert to a table. It should be tab delimited. When we have the breaks, we call that a delimiter. And let's insert a table, convert text to table, 7 columns, that sounds right. And here, take a look at our data, and I'm seeing nice ISBNs in this column. Am I seeing titles all the way down in this column? I am. That's looking good. First names looking good. Middle initial or nothing. And if you're finding it odd to see this funny little square that's showing a column break, again, we can turn that off. We go to Home, turn off the display paragraph marks, and it hides the non-printable formatting characters. Sometimes it's handy to turn those on. If you hadn't discovered that word feature, I commend it to you. It's very useful. And now we're seeing that I either have nothing, or I have a middle initial, or I have a middle name, and I have consistently last names, nothing missing. And then I have the retail and wholesale price, and that looks good. And let's go and compare that with our assignment sample solution. And so the sample solution, here's just the first row as an example. I have ISBN, title, first name, middle name, last name, price, and cost. And so now we can come up here, and I'm going to insert into my table a row above, and I can put my titles in there, ISBN, and title, and F name, and M name, and L name, and price, and cost, And just for consistency's sake, it doesn't really matter, but we'd capitalize it this way in the solution. And now I am seeing that that is looking like my sample solution, sample first row, and my data has been properly parsed. And if you're worried about the word wrapping here, if that bothers you that there's a break there, could deal with that a couple ways. Let me kick this up to 100%, but let me change the formatting here. You don't need to do this for your work product that you're submitting, but just to show you so that you can view it a little more normally, if we change our layout, the orientation, I'll change it to landscape, and then we'll take that table and let me auto fit that to the window. Got a little more screen real estate here. Auto fit to window. Now I can see that, and I can play with these a little bit and make things fit without so much wrapping. And again, this is not important or necessary for you to do in the work product you're submitting. I will understand the formatting, but it might be helpful to you as you're looking at your answers to have it wrapping a little bit more normally, a little more naturally. There we go. And of course, the other way you could do that is if things aren't fitting there is you could highlight everything, come up to change your text size and just shrink it down a little bit. And if you shrink it, that's the other way to get it to fit. And then you can change the table to, instead of fitting to the size, you can tell it auto fit to the contents. Oh, there. And at that size, it makes a really nicely formatted, very visible table. Let me zoom in on that so you can see it. And that's nice. Again, I'm not going to be as picky about the perfection in the word formatting. I really want to see that you are breaking the data and you understand the concept. So now that I've separated these attributes, attributes is another word that we use for fields. Generally, attributes, fields, and columns, we can usually use those terms as a practical matter interchangeably. And now that I have them there, once they're in the database, I can search on the individual data elements and not have to search through things. If I'm searching for a specific ISBN, I don't even want to concern myself with the other data in that record. Now I may do so. I don't have to waste CPU cycles trying to go through complex logic, breaking it apart piece by piece and parsing it. It's already been parsed for me. This is a nice normalized form. The data is, in a sense, atomic. It's broken down each field to its smallest constituent piece. That's why, like an atom. In chemistry, you learned, or in physics, you learned that atom is the smallest thing we can decompose an element into without, going into quantum physics and breaking it into something that's energy states and things other than, gold is still gold when it's an atom. You break it below that, it's no longer an atom. So this is the smallest constituent part. That is atomic data. And one other nicety, I'm going to take the headings and I'm just going to fold them. And that's it. So again, a nice touch, not something you have to do. The essential thing here to earn the credit is you go back, read the statement, and it says that modify the design of the table so that the books can be sorted alphabetically by the book title that currently follows the ISBN standard book number in the book info. Make additional changes so the list can be sorted by ISBN or by the author's first name or the author's last name or the author's middle initial or some combination of all three. Show the column headings and one row of data in your solution. So this is certainly way beyond what you need to do. There's the first row. So I would, if you want to give me the extra rows, that's fine. I would certainly accept it even if you did not have those rows there. That is a correct solution, full credit solution for the sample problem. And of course, the sample problem you don't need to do. It was just there as an example for you. So here's a further breakdown in this video of how we got there and how you can format that in Microsoft Word. I hope that's useful to you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the study of the unit.